It's like with Michael, you look at him and he's just got those eyes and he looks crazy and he looks just like, but he also doesn't look like a superhero. It's like he looks like a guy who would need to dress up like a bat for effect.
The comfort zone was Tim Burton. I knew I at least, you know, could put my trust in someone, at least to some degree, you know, even though it was a huge challenge to him and a risk to him too. It doesn't seem like that probably, but it was just a difficult movie to do and a big thing to pull off. When he called me and said, I'm doing Batman, I'd like to do it. Had it not been him, I wouldn't have even read the thing. But I figured if it's coming from him, this is worth reading. And then I knew immediately who this guy was. I just knew what I would have done. The risk came in because of I think the scale of this thing. But if this character doesn't work, this movie doesn't work. Now, I kind of knew that, but I didn't want to think about that, or I was a dead man.
What Michael Keaton captured was the traumatized Bruce Wayne, the neurotic Bruce Wayne, the Bruce Wayne who you could believe could at night put on a suit and go out and fight crime.
Tim indicated, I don't exactly know how to put a serious actor into a Batman costume without getting inadvertent laughs from the audience. He said, but he did know that with Michael Keaton, they could create a portrayal of this driven and consumed Bruce Wayne, and audiences would go, yeah, he could do this, he would do that, and thus the suspension of disbelief.
Michael Keaton has a quality, when I watch him as a performer or as a personality, and even working with him while I was watching him, he has three qualities. There's a comic quality, there's a vulnerability, but there's also something underneath. You feel that there's something underneath going on. There's a mystery there.
Michael was phenomenal. I adored him as Batman, and I know there had been some controversy, and you know, some people they were very reserved about that choice at first, and I thought I got it immediately. And there was something about Michael that I could just see as an orphaned child. I bought it. I bought it from day one.
Being a big fan of irony, I just think it's great from, you know, sitting back and looking at it all. I just think this is great fun. But no real vindication. I mean, it wasn't all that severe, just people saying, except for the hundreds of thousands of people who were protesting in the streets, I guess, you know. And when they hung me in effigy, that was a little, for me, harsh.
Hello, Vinny. It's your Uncle Bingo. Time to pay the check.
There was a conversation about who should play the Joker. And there were, as with Batman, there were names, you know, Robin Williams, so many actors wanted to be the Joker that everyone had to be dealt with appropriately.
Jack Nicholson as the Joker, I mean, it's like, you don't have to be a casting director. Nobody even have to say anything. I mean, that was just everybody's first choice, because he is the Joker. I mean, there's just no question about it. The fear is almost more like he's almost too perfect, but I mean, he's so great that he even transcends that. You know, he even goes beyond your expectations just because he's so good.
We had known Jack Nicholson for a while, and the idea was, would Jack play a role like that? This is not the kind of film Jack Nicholson played in. You know, this is the guy from The Last Detail and One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. We're talking about a force of nature, an acting force of nature.
Jack was never one to just work with a director. There was no actor alive who respects a filmmaker more once he decides to do it. But he has to decide to do it. So Tim had to convince Jack that he was right.
And I remember we went up to Aspen, and Jack says, let's go riding. He's going to meet Tim Burton. And Tim says, I don't ride. And I said to him, you do today, you know? And there's a picture of him on the horse with Jack. And Jack's a good rider, a really good rider. And Tim Burton looks like he discovered God on that horse.
I was terrified, and it's like, I'm out with Peter Guber and Jack Nicholson on horseback, you know, up in Aspen. I'm going, I didn't realize this was, horseback riding was part of my job description, but it was, you know, it was a surreal moment.
He was not a happy camper, but he did it, and Jack committed to the project. I don't know because of the horse riding, but I think that they had a good bonding there, and that moved the project yet further ahead.
Once, you know, somebody like him gets involved, it just raises the bar of everything else, and just creates a buzz about it, an excitement that just permeates everything, really.
I was afraid because of my feel of the television series and the way movies tend to be done and talked about. I didn't want this to go through the normal, let's brighten it up for the kids, you know what I mean? I thought this was a very strong, in every way, transitional movie about the genre and really why they wanted me in there, you know? In other words, on a superficial level at that moment, it gave it, oh, this is not just another cartoon movie.
It changed the nature of the comic framework into a film, from a movie into a film with the inclusion of Jack Nicholson. There was something to be discovered there by the critics and by the media, because they would find it intriguing that Jack wanted to do that.
Part of the thinking in getting Nicholson was really similar going back to the Marlon Brando concept in the first Superman picture. You get such a great deal of respectability for the picture, for what you're trying to do, that not only does that help bring audiences in from young to old, but it also makes it very attractive to other major stars to want to become the next Batman villain, to follow in the footsteps of Jack Nicholson.